Welcome to Mr. Giant Reacts to Ting and Ting and Ting. I'm Mr. Giant, back with another video, back with another reaction. And this one is going to be quite interesting. And the title is Irish People Don't Think You're Irish. And I think they're talking about Irish Americans in particular, but then we have to look at the Irish all over the world. Let's go ahead and YouTube and Sibsibber and see what this argument is all
Today,
about.
if you grew up in America saying, I'm Irish, there's a decent chance that lands a bit differently in Ireland than you might think. Because when people in Ireland hear that, a lot of them go, no, you're not actually. Not out loud usually, not in real life anyway. Most people will smile and nod and go, ah yeah, lots of Irish in Boston. And then internally they'll be like, that's not what that means. And this kicks off the same argument every time. Irish Americans feel dismissed. Irish people from Ireland feel like they're listening to something that doesn't quite line up. And then it turns into who's really Irish, which is already a very Irish argument to be having, and I'll get to that. But the problem isn't who's right. It's that we're looking at the same word to mean two completely different things. Our perspectives are different. So stick with me here because I'm going to explain the two sides of understanding. And
Okay, now this is quite interesting because you have the same situation with Africans and the Africans that are in this part of the world, because a lot of us consider ourselves African, but the Africans don't consider us Africans. And a lot of Africans will tell you that straight up. You understand what I'm saying? So this is quite interesting here. And I didn't really stop to think about it, that it might be going on with the Irish too. Now, do I consider myself African? No. I consider myself of African descent because, number one, if I go back to Africa, do they speak English there? They have their own language. I don't understand it. If you want to look at it from that perspective, their food is different. Their view of the world is different. I mean, we're so far removed that no, we can't consider us Africans. Now, there's certain parts of the Caribbean that Africans actually accept, like Rastafarians and stuff like that. They seem to, well, yeah, they're the Africans. Because if you listen to reggae music, they say we are Africans. You know what I'm saying? But let's see how it works with the Irish here.
Ultimately, everybody's right. Just depends on the context. Let me know where you say you're from below in comments. Oh, and while you're down there, do subscribe and leave a comment. I'm always lurking in the first hour of upload. Lurking makes me sound creepy. So first up, we gotta say, what do Irish people in Ireland mean by Irish? What do Irish people in Ireland mean by Irish?
This is interesting.
Say that 10 times fast. When Irish people in Ireland say we're Irish, we're not starting with ancestry. We're starting with lived experience. Were you actually shaped by Ireland? Did you grow up there? Relax. It's more vibes than rules, man. Do you understand the social rules without needing them explained?
No, sorry, I said no meaning yes. No meaning yes?
It's not something you apply to yourself to consciously learn. Like tipping in America. If you grow up there, you just understand it. I don't. I have to think about it every time I go there. Same idea. If you have to explain it, you're already outside of it. Like, I know it's a thing people do in America, and it's for the most part obligatory.
You don't tip. What do you mean you don't tip?
You don't believe in it.
Shut up.
It's a social rule, a social norm, and when I'm respecting the culture over there, I do it. Irishness in Ireland is like an operating system on a computer. Your default settings. And it's not something you can't learn, but something you don't have to think about if you grew up with it. It's just running in the background. It shows up in how people speak, not just the accent, but the rhythm, the implication. Someone can say, that's grand, and mean anything from perfect to I will never forgive you for what you've done. And intuitively knowing which they mean. It shows up in humor, which is slightly sideways, slightly cutting, and affectionate in a way that still keeps you a bit on edge. It shows up in the fear of having notions, which, as we've discussed, is basically the national anxiety that at any moment someone might think you believe you're special. And this is where it gets slightly awkward. The moment you hear a strong American cadence saying, I'm Irish, the brain of an Irish person in Ireland does a quick internal audit. Accent, tone, timing, it doesn't match. It's not offensive. We're not objectionable to it. It's just not the same operating system. American culture is much more comfortable with enthusiasm and directness. In Ireland, saying what you mean can make a room go tense. We prefer a conversational obstacle course. So when we hear "I'm Irish," we're not running a DNA test, we're running a vibe check, and it's
Which with the, oh, that makes so much sense there. That makes so much sense there because check this out. My son was born in America, never been to the island, don't know much about the island. Would he consider himself Grenadian? At this point, I don't think he will. Would he be considered Grenadian when he go to the island? Definitely he would be, you know what I mean? Because his father is from Grenada. So automatically we welcome him back, man. You're Canadian, you know what I mean? Hey, it doesn't matter where you're born, your father or your mother. Like for instance, Malcolm X, his mother is from Grenada. A lot of people see him as Grenadian. Now, what she's talking about there, she talks about, you know, the rhythm and all that stuff. That's cultural. Are you culturally Grenadian? Are you culturally Irish? Though you hold some of the things from that region, you're not really culturally from that region because you were raised and harvested in a different culture. So there's things about the Irish culture that Irish Americans wouldn't understand. Just like there's things about the Grenadian culture that I know my son will never come to understand and probably would never accept, including food.
a very Irish, slightly judgmental, I'll grant you, vibe check. So, on the other hand, what do Irish Americans mean by Irish?
Okay.
American sober or Irish sober?
Being Irish. Well, it's no less valid within your context. When Irish Americans say "I'm Irish," they're not talking about lived culture. They're talking about heritage, family lineage,
ancestry.
origin. And in America, that makes complete sense. Identity is built like that. Italian American, Irish American, Polish American. It's a signal
African
of
American.
belonging and values. And in a huge place that has essentially new constructs like the culture that is the USA today, these are important signals to others about who you are and where you came from. So "I'm Irish" becomes shorthand for "this is where my family came from." It's not about literal claim about where you grew up, it's more like a pointing to a narrative on where you come from. And different doesn't mean lesser, it just means not identical. They're
Yeah.
not the same.
Yeah.
And psychologically, that holds up. Distance turns identity into a symbol. Proximity turns it into background noise.
I can't see it yet, except I know it's there.
It's kind of like if you're from two separate regions of Ireland, or two separate places in Grenada, or two different states in America. Like you could have a family that's from Kentucky, but you were born and or raised up, let's say in New York, and it's the same country, but it's two different type of cultures. So how come somebody who is born in New York but was raised in Kentucky don't say "I'm Kentuckian"? They say "my family is from Kentucky," but they don't say they're Kentuckian. So how does that translate over to you weren't born in Ireland, but you're saying you're Irish? See what I'm saying?
If you grew up in Ireland, Irishness is just there. You don't think about it much. It's like your accent. If you grew up with it, you don't think about it. It just is. You really only notice it when you're somewhere else. And suddenly you're the only one who sounds different to most people. If you grew up in America with Irish ancestry, Irishness becomes something that you notice, that you protect. And sometimes, stick with me, maybe even perform. And performing it isn't a bad thing. It's actually something which consciously preserves it, which is great. That's why Irish American identity can feel louder than it feels in Ireland. Because in Ireland, being Irish is assumed. In America, it's claimed. And there's really good reasons for this gap to exist. A lot of it goes back to the Great Famine in the mid-1800s. Ireland lost a massive portion of its population. Millions of people left, many of them going to the United States. My great I always lose track of how many greats. My great, I think, uncle was one of several family members to do so at that time. But the important thing is these Irish people brought their culture of that time with them. Not perfectly, but roughly speaking. And importantly, that was a snapshot, a version of Ireland at that moment in time. And importantly, these weren't people who chose to leave to go on a big adventure. A lot of them left with nothing, under pressure, with trauma, with a country that was collapsing around them. The Irish language itself was already in decline, Irish culture was being dismissed, and survival was the absolute priority. So when that identity landed in America and these people had to build back their lives from the ground up, holding on to being Irish wasn't just nostalgia. It was something you fiercely protected.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
something you kept alive on purpose.
Yep.
And here's the thing, you take a version of a place and you freeze it and you move it somewhere else. So you have the two things and both places just keep changing, not together. Ireland itself didn't pause and wait to be reunited with Boston Irish.
Yep.
The operating system here continued to update, and here it did too in its own way. See how my analogy came back around? Ireland itself...
Yeah. It's updated in a new culture for the Irish Americans, and it's updated in Ireland for Irish people. You know what I mean? And when she said that they hang on to a certain point in time, it's a certain point in time. And that time is not taken into consideration the changes that came after that, because they are separate from the changes. It's like me living in America for 40 years and then going back home expecting it to be the same, but my memory of the island is stuck in, in a certain time. So I'm going to have to get reacclimated to the changes that went on there. And I could see the changes already, because just a simple thing like our carnival, it is totally changed. It has totally changed. Gone are the days when a lot of the parades and stuff we have had historical value. Now it's just a big party vibe, women in skimpy outfits dancing. Just that simple thing I'm going to have to get used to, because that's not was there when I left. So even the people who initially migrated have a problem, because stuff is changing back there, and all they have is their memory of it.
Continued to update to new versions. Society, politics, behavioral changes. They grew, they evolved, and so Ireland today is not the same Ireland that was left. I think pretty much everyone knows that on a conscious level.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in America, that inherited version of Irish identity that people were clinging onto didn't disappear either. It was preserved, adapted, and reshaped. Lads, I've seen what you did with the Irish dancing costumes. But like also, it's a celebration of where you came from. And when something is preserved outside its original environment, it often becomes more pronounced, shall we say. Because now it has a job. It has to represent who you are. So Irish American identity did that. And that doesn't mean it's fake or it's diluted. It's just different. But both come from the same original shared history and values and behaviors, which have evolved because operating systems. Okay, I'm over the analogy now. So, Irish American culture is its own thing. It's just not Ireland transplanted. It's Ireland plus America mixed together. And to me, America in itself has its own strong cultures too. For example, one of my favorite aspects is how you guys love to celebrate and throw a party, which, like, hello, St. Patrick's Day in America is bigger than it ever has been in Ireland. It's massive. Everything is green. Everyone is Irish for the day. It's loud, it's proud, it's very... This is who we are. And in Ireland, it's important. And in some ways today, it's even becoming more important on home turf. But it's different. And part of that difference is indeed a lot of quiet judging of tourists in novelty hats. Same holiday, different operating system. Oh, hey, I brought it back. So if they are the same but different, why is everybody getting so heated? Well, identity isn't just factual. It's belonging, story, family. So when someone challenges your understanding of it, it doesn't feel like a correction. It can feel like a rejection. Irish Americans can hear you're not Irish, as your connection doesn't count.
That shit hurt my feelings, man.
Whereas an Irish person in Ireland can hear somebody claim, I'm Irish, and hear your experiences and definitions don't matter.
Well, you guys didn't validate my feelings.
So both sides are reactive. One is defending belonging, the other is defending meaning. And this is essentially two groups arguing over the same word while just meaning two completely different things, which actually is very on brand for Irish communication. So no, Irish people don't usually hear an American say, I'm Irish, and think, yes, perfect, one of us. But Irish Americans aren't wrong to feel connected either. It's just two different meanings colliding. So next time this comes up, it might not be about who's right at all. It's two people answering completely different questions to begin with. And once you see it like that, it's very hard to get annoyed about it. But let me know your thoughts below in comments. So let me know.
Yep, same issue with the whole African thing. Wow. Compatibility. You understand what I mean? Like I said before, do I consider myself African? No, I consider myself of African descent. I'm from the Caribbean. It's all I know. And though the African culture is heavily based on the island, a lot of the stuff we do came from the African slaves that were on the island. You know, a lot of it. You know what I mean? The whole voodoo stuff. You know, on my island it's called Obia. That stemmed from Africa. It was an African religion. You know what I mean? Some of the food that we still eat today, some of the plants that we eat today, originate in Africa. You know what I'm saying? But it was switched up and changed to suit where we are. You know, and let me give you an example of how that could happen. The East Indians, they moved to the Caribbean, and a lot of their food became Africanized because of the African population that was on there. So you know, it is different than Africa. It's different than in India. You know what I mean? So somebody coming from India eating some food from, let's say, Trinidad, where there's a lot of people from India there. I think they're like 50% of the population now. They go, what did they know? This is not it. Now, okay, I'll give you an example. Okay. Mexican food in America. It tastes nothing like Mexican food in Mexico. And if you go to a completely Mexican neighborhood in America, you'll get authentic Mexican food, and it doesn't taste anything like any of the restaurants where you're from, because there's not a big Mexican population, and they have to cater the food for the population where they are. So they pull back on the peppery, spicy stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you see how it is there. So it's not so much a debate on ancestry, it's a debate on culture, because you are cultured to where you live. But with an ancestry of where your people came from. And it's just different, doesn't make you any less Irish or African. It just makes you different culturally. Because it's a different culture. It's and it's not diluted per se. It's just like what we remember mixed in with where we are. I hope that makes some sense. This was really interesting. I enjoyed this here to the T. Comment down below. Tell me what you think. If you're in Ireland, let me know what you think. Do you consider Irish Americans Irish, or Irish Australians, Irish Canadians, all of that? Do you consider them Irish? Or simply ancestors of that place because of the different culture? Comment down below, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I certainly did, as you could tell. I was up in there. Y'all take care of each other. Let's try to bring some peace to this world, okay?